In this next lecture, we're going to be looking at how to spot signs of drug-related self-harm. There's not many slides in this lecture because basically I wanted to keep it simple, and then basically you'll be more engaged with actually what I have to say, rather than sit there reading the slides and going, oh, well that does this and that does that and so on and so forth. But whether it's illegal or legal highs, and you're trying to spot yourself harm, it's best to remember that each individual may show different signs of this. So some may, as I said before, look more comatose or away with the feelings, as I said in the previous lecture. They're not there at the moment in time. They're not there with you. So it's probably one of the most damaging forms of self-harm on its own, because not only does it harm the individual mentally, but also physically. As we mentioned before, drug-related self-harm, whether it's illegal or legal, can have counter effects on the liver, kidneys, hearts, lung, you name it, it will happen. So, as you go through, you will find that most of these will, these drug-related self-harmers will shut the door on you. They're not interested. They're there in the moment, they're away from everything. These are probably one of the hardest self-harmers to actually get to, because they are doing things that are counterproductive to their own body. You will find that when they do shut the door on you, they shut the door completely. They won't be, a literal door. They will say, I'm not talking to you. That's what we mean by shutting the door. So as we go through the descaling methods in the final lecture in this module 2, you will come across ways of actually approaching this situation that will get the best results for you as professionals and parents on being able to talk to self-harmers who use drugs. To begin, legal highs are those that we mentioned in the first part of our course that can be bought over the counter or at Amazon. Remember Wilkinson's? Yeah. These things are readily available, so it makes no difference whether you to spot these. It's going to be easier than spotting illegal drugs. So how, you would probably ask, do I find a way of actually spotting someone who uses illegal highs? Illegal highs are very, very volatile. They can actually reduce your cognitive ability, that means how much you use your brain on a regular basis, by at least 25% over a course of a lifetime. There's 25% of your brain tissue gone, washed away. You might as well have flushed it down the toilet. So these self-harmers will forget things. They become very, very forgetful. You have to remember, some of these people will not be able to articulate how they self-harm. So don't ask them. You can see signs of self-harm that's illegal drugs. If someone is listless, in other words, they can't talk properly, they can't think properly. You ask them a question, what do you want for dinner? They go, oh, I don't know, anything that's on the plate. And I've actually come across that. And you think to yourself, okay, fine, fair enough, I'm not going to say anything to you, it's just fine, I'll put anything on a plate. So you put anything on the plate. It doesn't have to even be cooked. And then they will criticise that as well. That's how you can tell that someone is not actually engaging with you, because they are illegally taking illegal highs to get out of themselves. Remember, these people who self-harm will do this once every so often. It's not a categorical thing where they will keep going, keep going, keep going. As you learned in the last lectures, there are more than one way to self-harm. A self-harmer will use more than one way to self-harm. Drugs is just one. Eating disorders is just another. So on and so forth. So you'll realise that trying to talk to a self-harmer, you have to understand all of these, which is why all of these are in the course. In the long term, you will find that there's consequences for your self-harmer that are far, far worse than you think. Some, unfortunately, go so far because no one's actually listened to them that they end up committing suicide. If you remember Ben Caldwell from Nature One and how he mentioned this, that and the other, he doesn't realise that some of these self-harmers, although they don't intentionally want to kill themselves, some of them unfortunately do. That is a very sad situation to be left with. As far as I'm concerned, these people need more help than you think. But these people, of all people, are the ones that need the most. Because these drugs, no matter what they are, how they come to be in the person's hands, can render the individual eventually in such a state that they cannot no longer function in society. If you remember the young lady who had 15 balloons every weekend, that's addiction. I'm telling you now, that is addiction. When you said that, it made no difference. When you left your comments, whether you said that, makes no difference. It's what I believe. That is addiction. It's not episodic. It doesn't happen when a trigger happens. These people will use these triggers. And they will use more than one form of self-harm. Let's make that point clear. These people use more than one form. If someone cuts, you can guarantee they don't want to eat. If someone takes drugs, they may cut. So on and so forth. So that is why all of these things are here, so you can actually spot them. So if your person becomes listless, like we said, and they're sitting there, they're non-engaging in the school environment, it may well be that they're self-harming. They could have ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, or whatever. They could have any of those things. Don't just assume, because they don't know something, that they're self-harmed. But if they're in such a state where they're sitting there constantly, week in, week out, depressed with themselves, there could be a very, very big situation on your hands where you actually turn around and you find out that these people are self-harmers. Continue. In the long run, this approach will generate more diverse conversations than you may think. So why are we doing this? We want you to find out. We want you to be able to help them. We can only make them aware that you want to help when you start to listen. Pocket money spent on anything else other than what it was intended for can be one main factor that leads to suspicion. So if your self-harmer comes up to you, you don't know they're self-harm, but I'm going to tell you that's what they will do. I say, look, Mum, Dad, I need some money. I've got to go out, you know. Well, my mates are going. Yeah? 9 times out of 10 you will find that their mates aren't going anywhere. This person just wants money just for that one act of self-harm. One act. The next time they self-harm, as I said, they could be doing something completely different. And that is why we have to make this point clear. Self-harm is non-suicidal. Yeah? It's to themselves. This person's had a problem, they need relief. So they've conned you out some money. Now don't think for 1 minute, by not giving them the money, that they will not do other things that could actually be even more catastrophic for them. Like go out and commit crime. Go out and steal. Go out and take other people's belongings that don't belong to them, just so they can commit this one. Remember, one case of self-harm. Now, remember, sometimes anyone who self-harms can steal also. They can steal. You've given them money, but it's not enough. So they've gone out and they've stolen anyway. They've taken something else, somebody else's belongings anyway. You now have a situation where they could end up in some juvenile court or an adult court, because not everyone has all the money in the world, and then basically they could end up in prison. When we come on to Module 3, we'll discuss where and when self-harm can happen, and you will be shocked to find out where and when it will happen. Anyway, in one recent study by Clayton, Spelvins and Miraksandari, they found that prevalence of adolescents' problem gambling related harms and help-seeking behaviours among an Australian population, which is where this is from. This is from an Australian study. Yeah? However, reducing such can have detrimental effects on both you and those that you try and treat. That's both you and those that you try and treat. Remember, these people will do it no matter what. They're not going to stop. So if you take away every single piece of money that they've got and don't give them nothing, don't think for 1 minute they are not going to self-harm. This is a very interesting study, and basically if you get a chance to read it, all you have to do is put in the names in 2010. Remember, all lecture slides are there for you to download. They're free of charge, you can use them, you can teach others with them. Whatever you want to do with them, you do with them. But teaching people to spot self-harm and teaching people to turn around and talk about self-harm is needed in a modern society where self-harm is becoming more prevalent. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 10 boys in the United Kingdom self-harm. That is a phenomenal amount of children. So you will find that you will have plenty of cases where you will come across where all of these different forms of self-harm are actually happening. The consequences are that those who self-harm then are incarcerated, or in prison, or put in the slammer, whatever you prefer, whatever terms you prefer. It's up to you. And sometimes more than they did before. What? They self-harm more than they did before. Why? Because one of the biggest places you can find drugs is behind bars. Yes, unfortunately, you can find these drugs behind bars. So then you end up with a situation where your self-harmer is no longer a self-harmer, they then become an addict, an addict. They become addicted to these things. Because it's the only way they can get out of their skull. It's the only way they can punish themselves. It's the only way I really can't stand myself today. Situation happens. Making sure you realise before approaching the self-harmer their past history of self-harm will make the task far more easier. Like I said, if you don't talk to them, you don't know what's going on up here. And if you don't know what's going on up there, they're not going to tell you. They won't tell you. They'll just sit there and blank completely. Never shout. Never say, you should not take drugs. You know how dangerous it is for you. Because that's counterintuitive. I tell you now, your self-harmer, after hearing that, being shouted at, being put down, will go out and self-harm. You've just led to the next stage of self-harm. You've done it yourself by shouting. Make out you are not listening. Oh, I've heard this before. How many more hours have I got on this? today. If you're a professional and you claim to be a professional and you turn around and take that attitude, I saw 16 clients today, then you're not listening. If it's a tick box situation where you are not listening to the person once, you are not listening to any of those people. Your day has happened, gone, done, died, destroyed, and everything else. Your whole day has disappeared because you didn't listen to one person. If you just listen to one person out of all of those 16, then maybe you're helping someone. If you listen to none, then you didn't help anyone. Anyway, that's me. And think that they are doing this for attention. They're not. They're not doing it for attention. They're doing it for a release. A self-harmer is looking for a release. It's not attention-seeking behaviour. Attention-seeking behaviour happens every single day. If you have a young child, you must have seen them, a little infant running around, and they turn around and say, "Look, Mummy, I want this. Mummy, I want this. Mummy, I want..." That's attention-seeking behaviour. What? I want this? Because you're not taking any notice of them. You haven't turned around and you haven't said to them, "Okay, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's have a chat. What is it you want, really? Well, Mummy, can we go out and play?" Something as simple as that. But you listen. And that is what you have to do with self-harm. One other point that we will clarify, again, in this descaling section, is that of facial contact. Facial contact. If I want someone to talk to me, I will sit there and I will look at them. I want them to see that I'm listening. If I suddenly start going, I'm not listening. And if I'm not listening, I'm not helping. And if I'm not helping, my whole day is wasted yet again. If you have to make notes, make sure you explain this to yourself. Excuse me, before we continue, can I just jot this bit down? I find it very interesting. It will help me help you. Yeah? So when you've spotted a sign of people who've used drugs, you've now realised that they're in a state where they can't be seen to do anything in society at all, in the classroom, in the streets, or anywhere for that matter. And you've actually turned around and you've now decided that basically you're going to sit there and listen. If you make notes, let them know. Don't just start scribbling. I once went to a meeting with a self-harmer, their family, and everything else, and the professional was sitting there doodling flowers on a piece of paper. Now, what those flowers meant for the poor self-harmer, I have no idea. But I had to question it. I said, are you taking notes? Or are you drawing a scene? No, it won't. I said, well, so far, the person I'm sitting here with and their parents, you haven't listened to one word. You sat there doodling. We've been here 25 minutes, and all we've done is sat there doodling. Are you interested in what this person has to say? If not, say something. Say you've got other clients. Then we can find someone else who will be actually willing to sit there and listen to this person. Because this person needs your help, not anyone else's. If they ask why you're writing this down, explain it to them. Oh, this helps me understand you. I don't know whether you realise, but you're a very complex person. But if I have all the details, I can make a complex picture of who you are. But never mind, I think we've already gone through that part. But basically, as we go through the descaling section, remember, each and every single one of these children, adults, no matter OAPs even, need your help. Thanks very much for listening.